Good morning, children. Welcome to your moral education class. Today, let's start reading lesson 5. Everyone is a hero. This is an interesting story of numbers. I'm sure all of you are fond of maths and you know all your numbers. Well, let's read a story about numbers. One day, a maths teacher called a meeting of the numbers from 0 to 9. 0 was nowhere to be found. They searched all over and finally found him hiding behind a bush. Number 1 and 7 caught hold of 0 and brought him for the meeting. So what happened? One day the maths teacher, you can see in the picture, he decided to call a meeting of numbers 0 to 9. But 0 could not be found. They searched all over and finally, means at last, they found him hiding behind a bush. You can see the picture. So number 1 and 7 caught hold of 0 and brought him for the meeting. Why were you hiding 0? Asked the maths teacher. Sir, I'm 0. I have no value. I was upset, so I hid behind a bush, said 0. So the maths teacher asked him, why were you hiding 0? So he said, I'm 0 and I have no value. I was upset. So he was very sad that he's a 0 and he has no value. So I hid behind a bush. Let's see what happens next. The teacher thought for a while and then asked number 1 to stand in front of the group. What is his value? The teacher asked the group while pointing to 1. 1 came the reply from all the numbers. So what did the teacher do? He said, okay, number 1, you come right in front and stand here. Then he asked the rest of the group, what is his value? So they said he is 1. Then he made 0 stand to the right of 1 and asked, what is the value of this number? 10, said all the numbers. So when 0 went and stood next to 1, to the right of 1, it became 10. And all the numbers shouted 10. He made many zeros stand in a line, one after the other, and the value of 1 increased to 100, 1,000, and so on. So what did he do? Now the maths teacher made many zeros stand one after another. So what happened? From 1 it became 10, then it became 100, and then it became 1,000, and so on. So the maths teacher was trying to teach 0 something. Let's see what happens further. In this picture you can see how zeros came running and they are standing right next to 1. So first came 1 0, it became 10, then came the next, it became 100. Now you see 0, number 1 was not of much value by himself. However, when you stood next to 1, you made his value increase to 10, 100, 1,000, and so on. We all have some value. When you do your job properly, you become someone of a great value. From that day, 0 did not think he was useless. So what happened? He called 0 and said, now you come and see. Number 1 was not of much value by himself, but when you stood next to 1, his value increased. So it went to 10, it went to 100, 1,000. So we all have some value. When you do your job properly, you become someone of a great value. And from that day, 0 understood that he was not useless, means he was useful, he understood. He thought, if I play my role in the best way I can, I'm doing something good. When I join hands with others, the value of each one of us increases. So what did he realize? From that day he understood, even I can do something good. If I play my role in the best way, even I can do something good. When I join hands with others, the value of each one of us increases. So from that day, 0 understood that he was very useful. So let's come to the hi-fi of the story, which tells you the moral of the story. Each one of us is invaluable. What does that mean? Each one of us has some use in us. All of us are useful in some way. All of us have some value in some way. Okay? So that's why we come to the title of the story. Everyone is a hero in some way or the other. Even if it's a zero, you are a hero. So each one of us is invaluable.
Now let's discuss the questions given at the end of the lesson. Question 1. Why was Zero hiding? Zero was hiding because he thought he had no value. Question 2. How did the teacher show Zero that he was important? The teacher called number 1 and told him to stand in front of the line, and then he called 0 and asked him to stand next to 1 to the right of 1. And he showed him that the value of 1 increased to 10. He then called many more zeros and showed how the value increased from 10 to 100 to 1000 and so on. With this, Zero understood that he was important. Question 3. What did Zero finally think about himself? Zero finally realized that he was important and valuable. When he joined hands with others, the value of each one increased.